Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's Noontime Knowledge for Penn State Fundraising Volunteers featuring Harmony, a multidisciplinary performing arts club for children and adults with and without disabilities. My name is Amber Shojai, and I'm a 2019 graduate of Penn State and former Harmony instructor and the founder of Harmony Pittsburgh. Before we get started with our presentation, we just have a few housekeeping notes. So this session will be recorded and shared with you as well as those who couldn't be here live. Your microphones are currently muted, but we encourage you to turn on your cameras if you're comfortable so that we have the chance to see one another. Following the presentation, I'll moderate a question and answer session, and you're welcome to submit questions at any time by using the chat box, or you can unmute yourself during the question and answer portion to ask a question verbally. With that, let's get started. So the first time I stepped foot onto Penn State's campus, I knew it was the school for me. Once I began my journey as a student, it became clearer and clearer that it was the right place to be. I remember going to the involvement fair as a freshman and seeing the Harmony booth and thinking to myself, it was such a unique organization that I could see myself really enjoying. The organization married my passion for working with people with disabilities and my enjoyment of musical theater that I've had my whole life. And when I left my first Harmony rehearsal as a freshman, I remember calling my mom afterwards and telling her that I found my place at Penn State. And that it was. Harmony became a home away from home and the family that I really needed at Penn State. In fact, this organization led me to a new career path entirely. Harmony guided my major change into a healthcare profession because I was working with people with disabilities so closely. And I'm now pursuing a doctorate degree in occupational therapy at the University of Pittsburgh. After seeing the impact that this organization had on the Penn State community, I decided to create a Pittsburgh branch of Harmony while I'm here in Pittsburgh for my degree. And if it weren't for my very cherished time at Penn State and with Harmony, these Pittsburgh families would not have the opportunity to benefit from this organization in the same way that the Penn State community does. I'm so proud of the work that Harmony is doing in Pittsburgh, but I'll always remember my roots at Penn State. Thankfully, the organization is in great hands here and continues to make an impact on the campus and the community and beyond. So with that, I'd like to introduce you to today's presenter, Lily Briggs. Lily is a senior in the College of Health and Human Development, studying nutritional sciences under the Behavioral Nutrition and Public Health option. This year, Lily is serving as the president of Harmony at Penn State. She's been a volunteer with the organization for 10 semesters and previously served as Harmony's treasurer. Lily and I have had a great relationship over the years. I met her at a leadership camp, and I knew that she would be the perfect person to join Harmony, so I recommended it to her then. And it's just been so great to see her thrive and create such a beautiful space with Harmony over the years, and she continues to impress me every day. So now I'll turn it over to Lily to kick things off. Go ahead, Lily.
Well, thank you so much, Amber, for that lovely introduction. And thank you all so much for joining us. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. All right, so thank you all for joining us again. And today we're going to be discussing Harmony at Penn State and our overall goal of promoting inclusion through theater. So as Amber said, my name is Lily and I'm the president of Harmony, and I'm joined by 4 of my other executive board members who are going to very briefly introduce themselves to you now.
Hi, everyone. My name's Kaylee Shojai. Yes, I have the same last name as Amber. She is my sister, and I am one of the Harmony instructors this year. I am getting my master's in health administration.
And hello, everyone. My name is Sarah Russell. I am the other Harmony instructor. I'm a 4th year this year studying early childhood education, and I am currently with the intent to get my master's in special ed in a 5th year.
Hi, everyone. My name is Riley Niesmeyer. I am also a senior. I am studying early childhood education with also next year the intent of getting my master's in special education, and I'm a senior this year.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. My name is Julia Finkel. I am a 3rd year. I am studying early childhood and elementary education, and with a minor in special education and early child development.
All right, so now we're going to go ahead and get started with our presentation. This is a little sneak peek into what we're going to be discussing today. So we'll get into what Harmony is, a little bit of our history, how we raise our money, and what we use that money for and our overall impact. But to start off today, I wanted to give you all a little bit more information about my background and experience with Harmony. So I have a lot of Penn State pride. I was born and raised in Pittsburgh. For those of you from the area, I graduated in 2016 from Woodland Hills High School. Both my parents actually attended Penn State. My father didn't finish, but my mother graduated with a degree in nursing from the University Park campus. So growing up, Penn State was all around me. So whenever I was going into high school, I was very interested in Penn State. So I asked my mother to go on a campus tour, and on that campus tour, I absolutely fell in love with the campus. Not just the atmosphere and the idea of a college town, but more so the opportunities for involvement outside of the classroom. So I applied for Penn State, I got in, and I actually started as a toxicology major. But then about 2 years ago, I switched to nutritional sciences, and I have absolutely loved it. I am graduating in May, which is crazy to say, but my long-term career goals, I want to work as a food service director for a school district, so coordinating school lunch and school breakfast programs. And then outside of Harmony, I'm also a committee member with the Blue and White Society, which is the student chapter of the Penn State Alumni Association. So how I found Harmony. Growing up, I was very passionate about musical theater and the art of performance. Some of my best memories from growing up were on a stage. So this was something that I had always loved, but I really didn't have any experience working with individuals with disabilities. That all changed in the summer of 2016 when I attended Leadership, which was a leadership camp. At that camp, I met Amber, as long as our former instructor, Amy Estes, and our former advisor, Dr. Katie Hoffman. And the three of them told me about Harmony, and I fell in love with it. It sounded like such an incredible opportunity. So that following fall, I joined as a volunteer. That's a picture from my first Harmony show when we did The Little Mermaid. And then after 2 years, I became the treasurer in the fall of 2019. And this year I am the president, and I love it.
Wonderful. My name's Sarah Russell. Again, I'm one of the instructors, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what Harmony is. So Harmony, overall, our mission would be, we are a multidisciplinary performing arts organization for individuals with and without disabilities, and it's designed to do a variety of things. But overall, Harmony's mission would be one voice. That's something that I always stress when talking about Harmony. We want to create a space that is inclusive and welcoming to all people with and without disabilities who have a passion for musical theater and performing on stage. So some of the things, our mission, we strive to do are cultivate relationships with individuals with disabilities and without disabilities. Something so special about this space is Harmony is a musical theater, you know, the whole definition, but it's also so much more than that for our students, our volunteers, our families. It's just a place where they can be loved, have relationships, have friendships that last a really long time. I love to tell this story about my first Harmony rehearsal when I was a freshman. I had one of the girls who had been in Harmony for years before me came up to me. She said, "You're new here. I'm going to show you around." And I tell that to people when they ask, you know, how is Harmony? Like, how are people? You know, everyone is so nice, so welcoming. And that's something that I think really is so special about Harmony, especially I'll talk a little bit about our pairing system later. Those relationships really, once they start, they don't stop, and they just continue throughout your time in Harmony. And they're so, so special. Also, developing creativity through performance. We talk a lot about in rehearsals, different character developments, things like that as they perform on stage, talking through emotions, different things like that, but also just developing creativity, the creativity and a space and a passion for doing whatever you think your character would do. So we've had so many different characters played so many different ways, you know, for the longevity of it. You know, sometimes characters repeat themselves, and lovingly, they are never played the same way, and they're always bring such incredible different things to the stage. Then also highlight the voices of our students, highlighting their voices, their talents, their abilities, and what they're good at on stage. I also come from a really big musical theater background, singing, dancing, all of that. And this space and the ability for individuals with disabilities is not always common in theater. So this space really highlights the students and their voices and how much talent and how much creativity and passion they have for musical theater, and is totally shown on stage. Also, just that kind of translates into promoting equality inclusion throughout our campus, but also throughout the individuals, especially the volunteers, which I'll get to talk a little bit about later. But really just showcasing that. And one thing about I know from performing is you perform, I know I perform on stage, and that just translates into a whole nother level of self-confidence, self-assurance for so many of our students and volunteers. So how we fulfill our mission, what I talked a little bit earlier about was pairing students with volunteers for showcases. We actually just did this for our upcoming showcase. So what we do is we have one student paired with one Penn State volunteer. And they work together, they are together during the show, as you can see, holding scripts, learning lines, things like that. But these pairings are so much more than that. They really develop friendships throughout the rehearsals, and it establishes a comfortability level that carries into the showcases, but also carries onto the stage. It can be something that's super overwhelming. We perform in Schwab Auditorium, and that's a really big space with a lot of people. And that can be really uncomfortable for students and for volunteers. We have a variety of, this is my first time on stage, or this is my 30th time on stage. So just kind of having that pairing system, it always develops not only a level of comfortability, but a friendship that just lasts for the longevity of harmony. My first semester of harmony, I was paired with an individual that I'm still very close with to this day. And I take that relationship so much to my heart. And I know the same goes for a lot of our student volunteers. And then every student gets assigned a role in the showcase. This is also something that I think is really, really special about Harmony. So every student gets to read the lines from the script and perform in every musical number. So every student who wants a line is given one, no matter their mode of communication to do so. And I think that's really special, especially with our showcases. Every student gets a part that they really know, and they get to act out to the best of their ability. And that's really, really special. And then there's no like solo songs or solo dances. Every student and every Penn State volunteer performs in every song and musical number. And then also we fulfill our mission by encouraging inclusion and accessibility inside and outside of rehearsals. So inside rehearsals, we make the dances and the songs accessible in terms of our movements and things that we do, always keeping in mind different abilities when we're making those, but also challenging our students to also have the best performance that they can. Outside of rehearsal, I know I really didn't have much experience in the disability community or working with the disability community before I came into this organization. And I can say now, same goes for a lot of our volunteers, that we really promote a level of advocacy and inclusion for accessibility in our rehearsal, in our performance in this organization, but also throughout Penn State's campus. And then going off of spreading into Penn State's campus, we're also working to spread our mission. So as you can see on the left, we performed in November at 100 Days Till Fawn in the Hub. We also performed in the Hub for Giving Tuesday, and we have performed a few times the national anthem at the women's hockey game or different sporting events throughout the year.
Next, I'll be talking a little bit about the history of Harmony. So Harmony began in 2013 when it was founded by 3 Penn State students. In spring 2015, we only had 9 Harmony students and 10 Penn State student volunteers. So a really small group, and you're gonna see how we've gotten to grown over the years, and it's been wonderful. And we started in the State Theater attic. We did all our rehearsals there, and our shows were held there as well. So Harmony through the years, like I said, 2013, Harmony was founded. We were in the State Theater. In spring 2016, so just 3 years later, we had to move our shows to the Flex Theater in the Hub because we were getting too big. Our rehearsals were still in the State Theater attic, but we did get to move our shows. Then in fall 2016, one semester later, we had to move to the Hub for our rehearsals because we were way too big. It was great. And we also moved to Freeman Auditorium for our shows because, again, we were growing at an exponential rate and we wanted everyone to be able to see our shows. Then 2 years later, fall 2018, we are now performing in Schwab Auditorium, and our younger group that Julia will talk a little bit about later, Harmonies, was founded. So you can see just in a short time, we have grown exponentially just in our spaces. So Harmony during the pandemic was a challenge, to say the least. I think everyone was affected by the pandemic. We saw so many changes that had to be made, but we always stayed true to our mission, and we knew that this group is so important for our students. So we wanted to make this continue to happen, and we had to adjust to the times just like everyone else. So in spring 2020, obviously the pandemic halted our performance, our rehearsals, everything was brought to a stop. So what we did was we started to just have our rehearsals on Zoom. None of us knew how to use Zoom. We were like, we're just going to figure it out. And we're going to try it out. And we also sent videos in our Facebook group, and we were like, do these fun warm-ups. Like, we knew that these students were now being stuck in their homes. Their routines were changing. So we wanted to keep one thing consistent, and that one thing was harmony. So we last minute switched to a virtual performance for that semester. Then in 2020 and 2021, the academic year, we really had some time to collect ourselves and figure out a plan, because we knew this pandemic wasn't going away anytime soon. So we had to figure out what we were going to do. So we went completely virtual. All of our rehearsals were now held on Zoom, both for harmony and harmonies. We also created virtual showcases where we recorded our rehearsals every week, put it all together, and now those are on YouTube if you would like to see how we made that happen. But we were able to successfully put on more showcases, even though they were on a virtual format. In fall 2021, we switched to a hybrid format. So we were part on Zoom and part in person. We did this because we had some students that still weren't comfortable being in person, as well as some volunteers. So we wanted that Zoom option to still be there. And then we also wanted to keep proper social distancing in those spaces, because we are working with an at-risk population. So that was really important to us. So instead, we did a rotating schedule for our students and volunteers, whether they were on Zoom or in person every week, and that switch. And again, we made some recordings happen, and we also had a hybrid show where we had partially online pieces that we prior filmed to be displayed in the show. And then we also had an in-person show in Schwab Auditorium. So we put those pieces together, and the experience of the past year really prepped us for that. Now this semester, very exciting. We are fully in person again, which is just such a wonderful experience. We are back in the hub for our rehearsals, and we do have our safety precautions. We have been double masking. We ensure that all the students and volunteers are properly social distancing, because again, we know that we're working with this vulnerable population. So we are going to have our show in Schwab Auditorium, both for our Harmonies group and our Harmony group. So we're very excited for April 24th to be in Schwab Auditorium and do our showcase, The Hero Within. And overall, the pandemic would not stop our mission. So now I'm going to turn it over to Julia to talk about present day harmony.
So present day harmony, this semester, we have 30 Harmony students, 25 Harmony students, and 55 Penn State student volunteers, which, as you can see from the numbers we presented from when we began, our numbers have grown exponentially. And our showcases, we found our home in Schwab Auditorium. And again, super excited for April 24th, our showcases this semester. And now I'm going to talk a little bit about harmonies, which is very near and dear to my heart because I am one of our Harmonies instructors. Harmonies is a musical theater organization program for our 3 to 10-year-old students with and without disabilities. It began in fall of 2018 and expanded in fall of 2020. We rehearse separately, and we actually now perform our own showcase right before Harmony showcase on the same day. And it's super fun and exciting for our kids. And it's also a great way for not only our students with disabilities, but also our students without disabilities to get the exposure to students with disabilities and really just open their minds and be able to generate questions and get to know their friends from around the area. It's really just a great opportunity. And as you can see from our pictures, our students love it. And it's really just a great time overall. And now we are going to show you a little clip from our showcase from the fall in 2021, from going back to Broadway. We have a really fun musical number for you guys to watch, so please enjoy.
525,600 minutes, 525,000 moments so dear, 525,600 minutes. How do you measure a year? In daylights, in sunsets, in midnights, in concerts.
gosh, I just love that video. But as stated earlier, I'm Riley Niesmeyer. I am the treasurer for Harmony. And now I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about how Harmony is funded and the different ways that we use the money that we have raised throughout the year. So to begin with, we use our funds for a lot of things. One way that we use the funds that we have raised throughout this year is to ensure that Harmony remains free for all of our participants, which includes our Penn State student volunteers and the students that we work with. We make sure that no member of Harmony will ever have to pay a fee to be a part of our amazing organization. This also goes along with our mission of making sure that we can include everyone within our organization by making sure that money is never an issue that you have to worry about while you're in Harmony. Along with this, we have showcases 2 times a year in Schwab Auditorium, and this means that we have to pay rent twice a year to use this space to perform our shows. And finally, we use our funds for things to make sure that our show is the best that it could be. So materials like props for students to use, costumes that they will wear on stage, tickets, programs, and so much more to make sure that all of our shows are the best that they can be for our students and for anyone sitting in the audience. So Harmony has 4 main forms of fundraisers that we hold throughout the year to make sure that we can raise the proper funds for our organization to shine at rehearsals, showcases, and so much more. So the first fundraiser that I will talk about is Giving Tuesday. Giving Tuesday is held usually on the Tuesday after Thanksgiving and tends to be one of our best fundraisers. Our members will use their social media accounts to share information about Harmony and to make to encourage their friends and families to donate to our page to ensure that we can raise the funds to make Harmony the best that it could be. This year, one of our goals was to get the most student donations, and we achieved this goal, which was amazing. And we actually got rewarded with more funds due to this. Another fundraiser that we hold is merchandise sales. So each semester I get to create shirts that promote our shows for all of our members to wear, which is an amazing way to promote our organization around campus and a great way to promote our shows. And then along with this, we hold general merchandise fundraisers for our members and their family and friends. You can also purchase it to help us raise money throughout the semesters. An additional fundraiser that we do is we work a concession stand at the men's hockey games. And if you ever were at a hockey game this year, you could find the Harmony members at the icing stand. So at the icing stand, we would work the concession stand with our fellow Harmony members. And we really had a great time just getting to know each other while raising money for our amazing organization. And then another way that we raise money through Harmony is through our donations. So on our website, there's a specific page that is dedicated to accepting donations, and we accept donations all year round. The donations that we receive help us achieve our goals and creating the best possible experience for our students in all of their performances.
Great. So I'm going to finish up talking about our impact. So as Sarah mentioned earlier, one of the most important aspects of our mission is to improve accessibility on campus so we can ensure the beauty and the pride of our Penn State campus stays available to all. One way that we have been able to fulfill that goal occurred recently after our first showcase in Schwab Auditorium. At the time, there were only 2 wheelchair lifts on campus, so we had to pay to get the wheelchair lift moved from the Bryce Jordan Center to the auditorium. After that show, we worked with the ADA office on campus and campaigned for a permanent wheelchair lift in Schwab. So now the stage of Schwab is accessible to all performers. This past semester, we also had a sign language interpreter at our showcase, which you may have noticed in the clip from our show. And I also have a photo of her here now as well. We worked with the sign language organization to have the songs interpreted live on stage. And it was an amazing improvement to our performance and something that we plan to continue incorporating into our shows. Our Penn State student volunteers are also really crucial for us fulfilling our mission, partly by using their social media platforms to advocate about accessibility and inform their followers about the importance of inclusion. We also encourage our volunteers to promote our mission outside of rehearsals by sparking conversations with other students on campus and work together to generate new ideas on how to make our organization and our university as a whole inclusive to all. So when looking at the future of Harmony, I kind of broke it down into some short-term and long-term goals. Our short-term goal is we want to continue to advocate for accessibility and inclusion on campus. So further encouraging our volunteers and our executive board members to spread our mission outside of rehearsals, but also strengthening relationships with the performing arts community here at Penn State. We are a member of the Performing Arts Council, which is really exciting for us. We want to continue to build our relationship with PAC. This past year, I also had the pleasure of sitting on the Student Advisory Council for the Center for Performing Arts, which was a really exciting opportunity. And we would love to continue to expand our relationship with the center. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, building our relationship with the Sign Language Organization. And then our long-term goals, obviously, Amber has helped us expand Harmony beyond Penn State to Pittsburgh, but we want to continue that expansion. Ideally, the long-term goal is to see Harmony all over the nation. And one way that we think we could do that is working with the Big Ten. Obviously, Penn State is a proud Big Ten university, and there's a lot of connections within the Big Ten here. So we would love to be able to work with them to talk to their students to inspire them to create Harmony organizations at their universities. So lastly, I'm going to end here with a quick little video with some testimonials from our students, parents, and some other volunteers about why Harmony matters to them.
Harmony matters is not like singing, dancing, and doing a performance, being really wonderful. It's like a wonderful thing and a wonderful opportunity.
Melissa, and Harmony matters to me because I get to sing and dance and make a difference in people's lives.
Oh my God, this and you're singing is like, I wasn't do dancing and singing is very, very important. And I did the band, I did Harmony, it does make my day, it was a past day. So we are.
Harmony matters because it gives a voice to so many people who don't typically get the chance to perform and be on stage and be seen and be heard. And it unites a large group of people with all differing abilities, and they come together and work all semester for one performance, which is absolutely amazing.
It's important for our children because it lets them express themselves, show their achievements and what they're good at, and just have a good time.
Harmony matters because it creates one voice, it brings together communities that wouldn't normally interact with each other, and we get to learn so much from each other, obviously.
Harmony matters is by sharing the love of you and others, no matter how different decisions to make them feel.
Yeah.
To express the subject of what life is, how the experience made us feel.
Harmony matters to our family and to Levi because it's a place of inclusion and love, and he loves to perform and sing and be with his peers and be with the volunteers, and he just has a great time. So thank you so much for all that you do.
Harmony matters because it's a very nice place and you can socialize and sing and just have a good time.
Harmony matters because it's such a special place where anyone with any kind of difference can come in and find their family and be who they are with anyone who they want.
I love doing the show. And I also love singing and dancing.
Perfect.
I love Harmony because it matters to me because we're all a magical family and no one will ever judge you for who you are because you're a special unicorn. Thank you.
Harmony matters to me because it gives the opportunity for people to understand that anyone can do anything.
So Harmony is really for helping the students to create relationships with people that they normally wouldn't have the chance to create relationships with. I know one of the students, his name is Aranya. I love Aranya. I probably would have never met him. He has the greatest character ever. He always is super selfless. He tries to make sure that no one thinks bad of him, and it's the greatest thing ever, and I can truly say I've met a friend.
You want to get to know who we are as a whole, us being a whole. This place is just awesome because this place makes us so wonderful because we are super amazing and we just love hanging out as a group because we are just one stupendous group that loves hanging around, acting, and becoming one as a whole.
All right, so just to conclude what we've talked about today, we've shown that Harmony has grown exponentially over the past 8 years. We perform showcases that increase our students' confidence and highlight their voices. We're a free organization and we really rely on all of our fundraising. And our overall goal is to create a more inclusive Penn State and a more inclusive world. So that's all I have, and I'm going to turn it back over to Amber now for some questions.
Thanks so much, Lily, and to the rest of the board for that amazing presentation, especially that last video. I feel like it just really captures the essence of Harmony. And I loved that I could hear the rehearsals going on in the background and you could just hear the joy that's in the room. Yeah, so we're going to go on to do a little question and answer with the board. So I'm going to start with a few questions we have here. And if any of you that are on the call have questions, you're welcome to put it in the chat, or you can come off of mute and ask it yourself. So the first question I have for the board is, how have you seen involvement in Harmony influence your members' personal development and career trajectory?
I'll take this first question. So I think my sister is an excellent example of this. She did completely change her career trajectory after being involved in Harmony, and she talked a little bit about that at the beginning. But I'll also talk about myself a little bit. I actually did an internship this past summer at a nonprofit organization that works for individuals with disabilities. It was something that no one in my health administration program has done before, but I've really brought healthcare at the forefront for individuals with disabilities to our program because it is really important. And as future administrators, we all do need to know about it. So I actually also did a education session a few weeks ago for them as well about interacting with people with disabilities. So that has really had a huge influence in my field as well. I've also seen it affect many of our members. Some members came in as undecided freshmen and now they're pursuing special education, or some people were just pursuing education and now they're adding a special ed minor, or they're getting their master's in special ed, or even if they're not working with special education, like me, for example, they somehow incorporate into their majors, into their career development and their professional development. And outside of just that, I've seen growth as human beings in our volunteers and our students. Our volunteers have grown to be more empathetic, more kind, and more confident and powerful advocates on campus through Harmony. I know that I personally have gotten so many leadership skills from Harmony and so many creative skills from Harmony that I talk about Harmony, for example, today in an interview about my creative abilities. So it really just rounds out everyone that we have involved, and it's a great way to develop yourself as a person and professionally.
Great, thanks, Kaylee. Okay, so our next question, can you touch on the formal or informal training that you do with volunteers? And Kaylee, I think, touched on this a little bit, but does everyone that is participating in Harmony have a background in education or the arts?
I can take this question. So our volunteers don't require any formal training or any formal prior experience with working with individuals with disabilities. We do have a meeting at the beginning of each semester to welcome new volunteers, kind of just tell them about who we are, about our rehearsals, about working with individuals with disabilities, that kind of thing. Nothing formal, honestly, just us kind of having conversations with them as an executive board and as new volunteers, or prior volunteers can chime in, things like that. And definitely they are not required to have any background in the arts. A lot of us talked about our prior experience with theater, but I know I've brought in a couple of my friends or people I've met through different programs or things like that, and they're like, well, can I still join Harmony if I don't have any experience, or I don't want to be, I'm not a great singer, things like that. No prior experience is needed in the arts. And I think that's also what's really cool is our volunteers range. I'm an education major. I know Kaylee touched on being in health policy administration, but we have all different majors from liberal arts to engineering, business, to all different fields of study at Penn State, which I think is really cool because then it spreads Harmony throughout all different majors, minors, things like that.
Great, thanks, Sarah. Okay, next question I'll ask is one from the chat. So this one's from Brenda, and her question was, how long do the harmonies typically stick with the program? And have you ever had to turn anyone away because you didn't have enough student volunteers?
I can take this question. So Harmonies just started in 2018. That's when we began. And when Harmonies started, it was right before Harmony rehearsal, and the students would learn the same show material. And actually, I think it was they were included with the Harmony rehearsal. And then as our numbers started to grow, rather than turning people away, we actually expanded and created a separate rehearsal space and time, and eventually our own showcase with students. Now we have up to 25 mini students. And so we've kind of just adapted, and instead of turning away, we've made a newer program for those students. And so far, we've had students, I think our longest student is in it this semester still, and she began when she was probably 7, and now I want to say she's like 8 or 9, 10 maybe. But she's, she's stuck with it, and we have people that, really love it and come back every semester. And when it's summertime, we even tried to, we did a mini summer camp this summer because we had so many minis that were saying, we just want something to do during the summer. We miss, coming to rehearsal and being on Zoom. So we did a Zoom summer camp even. So we definitely, rather than turn away, we try to adapt to our students. And the plan is, once the students feel comfortable to go into Harmony, we don't have like a very strict cutoff age, although we say typically around 12 years old, they would go to Harmony. But that's obviously up to the parents and families' discretion.
Great, thanks, Julia. So my next question for you is, when is your next showcase? And with that showcase, will you be live streaming that so that people who can't attend in person can still watch it?
I'll take this question. So our next showcase is on April 24th in Schwab Auditorium, and we will be live streaming it. We live stream all of our shows, so it will be on our Facebook page, which I saw Haley put a link to in the chat, which is great. So follow us on Facebook. We're also on Instagram, and that's where we'll be sharing the live stream if you can't make it in person. But if you can make it in person, we would love to see you in Schwab Auditorium on April 24th.
Thanks, Kaylee. Next, can someone touch on how we can support you and your work with Harmony?
Yeah, I can answer that one. So one of the biggest ways for you to support us would be to follow us online, whether that's on Facebook or Instagram, or to check out our website, which I saw Haley also posted the link to that as well. And on our website, we actually have a donations link. So if you would like to provide any monetary donation, it would be much appreciated by all of us. And then you would be able to find out through there how to send donations.
Thanks, Lily. And a follow-up question with that, what would financial support allow Harmony to accomplish?
Yeah, so with financial support, we would, obviously, we talked about using money to pay for Schwab Auditorium to rent out our showcases. We would be able to expand and buy more props and more costumes, be able to grow in that area as well. And then in terms of reaching our long-term goal, if we get enough monetary value, we would be able to reach a wider audience and help us expand, help us in our long-term goal of national expansion. So.
Great, thanks, Lily. Next question. What type of collaboration exists between Harmony at Penn State and Harmony Pittsburgh? And I know you touched on this a little bit during your PowerPoint, but what are the thoughts of expanding further?
I'll take this one as well. The benefit of having sisters in both Harmonies is that it's very easy to communicate. So Amber and I talk all the time, and then actually our cousin is the other instructor for Harmony Pittsburgh. So that has made the process very easy, and I think we're going to have a very smooth transition from when we leave these organizations into the hands of others, and just make sure that they do have that connection all the time. We talk about things like when our showcases are going to be, so that we don't do it on the same day, because we want people to come to both showcases. Obviously, we want everyone to support every Harmony organization in every way they can. So we always avoid having our showcases on the same day. We also talk about our themes for our shows and what kind of shows we're thinking about doing, so that we don't do similar things and that we keep it fairly different, so that we see people can see different shows and different ways of doing things. We also it's great because our cousin, Ava, who's the other instructor, she went to Carnegie Mellon and got her BFA in acting. So she has been able to give us like a lot of insight into new warm-ups and new ways to develop our students in their acting abilities and make them better performers. So that has been a huge help as well. So we talk about things like, what kind of warm-ups are you doing? Are you doing this for your song? How are you going to edit your show? How are you going to perform this on stage? Different things like that. So that has been really great. And in the future, we'll just pass on those connections so that the organizations can continue talking with one another. And again, we did kind of touch on this, but we do foresee Harmony expanding, hopefully nationwide. It's a big dream, but we think we can accomplish it. We've already grown so much in just a short few years. So the sky's the limit.
Great. Thanks, Kaylee. And yeah, just to touch on that a little bit further, we have set both of these programs up for such nice sustainability for after whoever it is that's the leadership of the program at the current time, for the next set of leaders that come through. And for me personally, I know that I'm graduating from my occupational therapy program soon, and I feel that I've gained such a valuable OT lens that I can use with these individuals that we work with. And whether I still be in Pittsburgh next year or if I move somewhere else, I fully intend on like expanding this program further and bringing it with me wherever I go, because I've just seen the way that it impacts the volunteers and the students and how that can improve their just daily functioning. So yeah, we definitely want to continue expanding this program. Only good things to say about Harmony. The next question I have for you is, do you sell merchandise to the public?
Yes, I could take that one. So we sell our semester showcase. We make shirts for those, and the shirts are open to the public. So we'll post about buying the shirts on our Facebook and Instagram pages. So if you are interested in buying one of those, you can check that out. They should be out fairly soon.
Great. Thanks, Lily. And then the next question I have is, how do you advertise your work and your program to Penn State and local communities?
Yeah, I can take this one. So we like to collaborate as much as we can with not only Penn State, but also the community around us. I know for Harmonies in particular, we reached out to the school district right nearby, State College Area School District. We also collaborate with Easter Seals, which is a program near us, and then other programs like Relay for Life and the Center County Down Syndrome Association. We make sure when they have their walks and their events, we will set up a Harmony team to support as many other organizations as we possibly can. We have also partnered with the Penn State Sign Language Organization, which for our last showcase, as you saw, we had an interpreter come interpret our songs to make it a more inclusive show and experience for everyone that came to watch or live streamed. And that's definitely, these are all things that we intend to continue in the future and only make stronger relationships and expand our horizons.
Thank you, Julia. Okay, that's all the questions I have. I want to open it up in case anyone else on the call has any other questions before we close up here. Okay, great. So thank you all again so much for joining us this afternoon. This was so great. And I want to give a special shout out to Lily and the rest of the board for the amazing work that you continue to do to strengthen this organization and what it's meant to each of us at Penn State. We'll also share a slide with Lily's contact information and the email for Harmony so that you can reach out if you want to learn more about Harmony and how you can support the organization's efforts. Again, thank you so much for joining us, and be sure to keep an eye out for any invitations coming up for summer editions of the Noontime Knowledge series for Penn State fundraising volunteers. Until then, we hope you have a happy and healthy week and have a great rest of your afternoon. Thank you so much, everyone.